It's happening all over again. Marvel cards are exploding. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we need to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. Something that brings me joy every time there is movement out there in the market. And that is, of course, Marvel trading cards. Yes, that is right. Here we are making another video on the YouTube channel. We had to do it because just in the last couple days, things are getting crazy out there. We have crazy activity for Marvel cards exploding on the market, just like last time, only this time it's a little bit different because this time it's about the 1966 Donruss set. So in this video, we're going to talk about this secondary market movement. We got to kind of ask ourselves the question, what is going on with Marvel trading cards? Why do they roll around every 4 years like the Olympics? Is this actually a real thing, or is there massive speculation going on? I'm actually going to bring in special guest, the 99 Newsstand card expert, to break it all down for us. But of course, before I get into the video, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I appreciate it. Help support the channel doing those things. Also, Sanity. Rise of the Occult, issues 1 through 3. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Marvel trading card video. Where's the comic book part of your comic book content? Well, here it is, guys. You can go pick up this Lovecraftian detective comic book adventure. Head on over to the link in the description. I would very much appreciate your support. All right, let's talk about Marvel trading cards, specifically the 1966 Donruss set, which, by all accounts, is the very first Marvel trading card set, only coming out about 4 to 3 years after the invention of many of these characters. Now, I did that video all the way back when, where we talked about 1990 MU exploding during the time of COVID. Everybody was flocking to those cards, and part of that discussion was, why are people going crazy for these cards that are massively printed when the OG cards, the 1966 set, are out there, and these ones actually might have scarcity and rarity to them. Well, for starters, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and I think that most people were just more attracted to the impel cards. And also, a lot of people, as far as the market is concerned, just weren't thinking about these cards, weren't really considering, this set as something that was rare or scarce or, collectible in any kind of way. But all of a sudden, very, very quietly over the course of the last year or so, and really picking up steam in the last couple of weeks, specifically that of the last couple of days, all of a sudden, these cards are absolutely going bananas on the secondary market. I mean, look at some of these sold prices. $4,400 for a 7-card set, $800, $700, $1,000, $1,800, $600, $2,500, $17, $3,000 for this particular Spider-Man card right here, which is one of the keys and is considered the actual rookie card of Spider-Man. Now you have people sweeping the raw card market, just buying up everything that is out there on eBay. I mean, a ton of activity for a lot of these cards, even the lower grades, the ones that actually have, decent pictures are getting picked up. And it is really crazy to see all of this movement going on. Now, I wanted to bring on a special guest to the channel to break it all down for us. So please welcome Manu, the 99 Newsstand, to give us added context into what is going on with these cards. The 99 Newsstand, Manu, it's good to see you again. How you been?
Really good to see you. It has been a while. I've been really well. You've been really busy. We'll talk some more about that later, but thank you for having me, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I had to have you because it was your post that I saw, the other night that really, got me investigating this whole thing, which was this explosion of the 1966 Marvel superhero Donruss trading cards, a flurry of sales. All of a sudden, Marvel cards, at least in my, sphere, are blowing up again. Can you give us a little bit of like a framing of what this stuff is? What are the 1966 Donruss Marvel cards? Is this a real thing? Am I, catching up here? Or is this actually a lot of price movement that has happened recently that is even surprising to the people that have their finger on the pulse?
Sure. So I do think it was just a matter of time before we had some of this like really enthusiastic price movement. But it is surprising. It's surprising to folks that have been paying attention, knowing it's coming. But a lot of for some people, it's only surprising because they weren't able to get ahead of it, and so it's kind of like panic mode right now. Like, oh my gosh, the first time I see a PSA 9 of that card, it sells for 3 grand. I've been knocking on every door trying to find out who's going to give me a PSA 9 of that card. These cards that sold the other night, it's the first time many of those have been seen in this grade,
Mm.
and they were priced pretty wisely by whomever this seller is. This seller savvy. This guy is not a beginner. This guy or gal is not a beginner to cards. But the enthusiasm for the set may have started on like a more mainstream level about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we could kind of reference what some of those points were. And there was one sale about a year ago for a particular card, and it was a PSA 8 for $1,500. That got a lot of people excited and scratching their heads. But that sale didn't disappoint, because after that, anytime that card came to market, that sale was referenced and the price was according to what that PSA 8 did. And so it was just a matter of time before a moment like this happened. But the big question is, where does this moment lead us?
Yeah, well, that's the thing I think most people are wondering about because, I'm very nostalgic towards the Marvel cards, especially on my YouTube channel. Because one of my biggest first videos I ever made was during the pandemic, during
Right,
COVID, when I did a Marvel card video. But that was on the 90 MU, 91 MU, those types of cards that really blew up. And at that time, there just weren't that many available to be bought because everyone was locked down. eBay was a bottleneck, and however many were graded were the ones that were just available. And
right.
then there was a huge influx to PSA. Those prices have pulled back tremendously. And then we've kind of, swam around the Marvel card market. Precious metal gems became popular. And
Yeah.
everyone kept saying, hey, the Donruss 1966, those are the original cards, though. Those are the
It's the
first
first card
editions of
set.
Marvel, as far as trading cards are considered
Yeah.
are concerned. And so now people are kind of interested, in this space. And it does sort of beg the question, like, is this a real thing? Like, are there going to be more cards popping up on the census, on eBay? How rare is this stuff, as far as you can tell from being in
Yes.
it for, say, the last year and a half or so?
So for the last year and a half and 2 years, I can say that it has been very difficult to track down the high grade popular cards in the set. Extremely difficult. And even privately, when they trade hands for a lot of money. But now this is the first time that this many cards has come to market and they've posted incredible sales. People are going to see these, and hidden collections are going to come to light. There are individuals that would never have thought of selling, but when they can see that they're going to get 3 grand for this card, 1,700 for that card, oh, they're going to come to market. And
Right.
any number of things could happen. It depends on how many come to market and how many people are there to absorb those cards at that price. I know a lot of people want to make these sets, and I know that this is real. The enthusiasm for this is real. Do these prices hold? Is this just the beginning of the prices going up? Is 3 grand for card 34 and a PSA 9 actually half of what the next one's going to sell for? We I'm excited to find out. Either way, I'm excited to find out. But to answer your question, absolutely real. The card set in itself has huge significance. Like you said, it's the first Marvel card set. 1966 is almost 60 years ago. That is a long time. And these cards were not manufactured great. They have centering errors. So you have, condition scarcity built into it. Not only that, there's this amazing idea, and not an amazing idea, this really reasonable idea of saying, hey, these are these characters' first appearances on a card. We have our comic book first appearances, and so people call it the rookie cards. And some
Right.
Marvel card guys are going to beat me up for calling it a rookie card, but everyone knows what we're saying. First appearance on a card. There's no reason to tear that phrase up. It makes sense. We can use it. Every single card in this set essentially is the rookie year card for these characters. And this set, I love the set more for its Spider-Man. I'm a Spider-Man guy, right? There's a Spider-Man puzzle on the back of the earlier cards in the set, but each character has 11 cards. Some collectors, they just want the 11 of their character. They're not worried
Right.
about the whole 66. So you have these interesting ways you could collect. Absolutely real enthusiasm. Collectors want to make their sets. And now that people that weren't talking about 66 Donruss before are talking about it, those OG collectors that were keeping it their little secret, they're going to get even more aggressive, either about guarding what they've loved or making sure they fill in those gaps in their collection that they were sort of passive about because no one cared before. Now a lot
Right.
of people care.
I think it's really interesting. While I have you here, I figure maybe we should scroll through some of these prices just so that
Sure.
people can see what happened. again, this is all within sort of the last 24, 48 hours. A lot of cards come into set and just sweeping, the inventory here. Like look at some of these sales, $2,500 here,
Yeah.
$1,800 here,
Yep.
$1,700 here, $1,700 here, 600. Here's a $3,000 card that went up.
Yeah.
Now, with this flurry, you sort of always have to ask the question, okay, is there any sort of market manipulation going on here? I see the
Right.
authenticity guaranteed. Is this a real seller account? Like, what do you think in terms of the flurry of new listings and also them getting bought out? Does that
L-
make you scratch your head at all?
Let me tell you what happened. So I saw these after the first rush of the really rare ones were already sold. Like I missed it by maybe an hour or two. As soon as this gentleman listed these cards, they began to sell. And by the time I had seen them, there was probably 8 or 9 already in the sold listing, and I was devastated because one of them was one that I really wanted. But fortunately enough, there was one card that hadn't sold yet that I had my eyes on, and I did manage to grab that one. So I can say that that was actually a real sale. I paid. But if you look at this seller's account, because I quickly did, has a lot of feedback, has a lot of history. It is a real deal account, real deal cards, and every image is taken the same way. There's uniformity there, and yes, these cards have to go through eBay authentication. So it's not like it's going to be fake. It's not like you're not going to get something delivered to you. I think all of this is absolutely legitimate. What this feels like to me is it maybe an OG collector, maybe not, but this is someone that saw an opportunity and is thinking, this might be the hottest these are ever going to get, right? Like
Mm.
people are FOMOing into making sure they get them, either for pride, either for their collection, or just to say they got something really unique. Who knows? But this guy seems really smart because he was willing to part with them, but he was willing to part with them for these prices, and he got his prices. And then I love that one individual took the 7 PSA 9s that this seller had left and must have negotiated a deal. That sale there,
Right here.
$4,400 for 7 of the PSA 9s. That's a strong purchase for both people because the buyer of that set now paid like a little less than 700 bucks a card, right?
Right.
For a PSA 9 in this set right now, those are great pickups, I think.
Yeah. And especially since, offline, we talked a little bit about the pop count. This right here is PSA's website as far as their
Yeah.
population count is concerned. And you can just look over here in the right-hand column. It's going to be small for people, but there are a lot of cards that actually have 0 10s on it. Some of the highest, pop counts for 10s. I see one right here that has 4. So that's about as good as it's going to get for a lot of these cards, at least
Yeah.
for the time being. 9s even a little bit more, 11, 10, and then it's really the 8 where, I mean, even at 33, that's not a lot of cards overall. Now submissions could go up, but what's your sense as far as like the raw card market out there? I mean, are people are
There
there collections out there? Like, what is, I guess it's what you kind of said at the beginning, where it's, now that some of these prices are moving, this is where, some of the mystery gets revealed, where it's like, okay, are there people that are now going to be motivated to bring their cards out, of
yeah.
the basement?
And I know friends that have raw sets. I've got raw cards from this set. A friend of mine just sold a raw set. If you really go through those sets, you might find candidates for grading. But one thing interesting about this is the sealed boxes for this are scarce. Maybe there's, a bunch of them somewhere that are going to surface now, but historically they're scarce. And when they do trade hands, which I haven't seen a sale that I could publicly reference, but no one's ever offered me one for less than $8,000. And on average, it's over 10 grand. So the cost of entry is not low here. Yes, if you get lucky and get high grades in some of those great cards, you're easily going to make your money back. But your barrier of entry is probably 10K. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that'll sell you a box for 4 or 5. I've never been offered one. And here's some other interesting reference points. Historically, the sealed packs of these cards go for between $400 and $600 for a sealed pack. And check this out. In a sealed pack, there are only 5 cards. A sealed box has 24 packs. Within the wax pack, there are 5 cards. On one side, there is a 70-year-old stick of gum, so you can eliminate one card from being
Right.
high grade altogether. You essentially have 4 chances at getting something extremely valuable. and you have to pay $500 every time you want to take that gamble. People grade these packs, and the graded packs sell for over $1,000.
Right.
So it's not going to be cheap to shoot, but someone's going to take some shots for sure.
Yeah. And then just so that quickly understand, or people can understand, there are certain keys in the set. This right here is a trading card database, kind of lines them all out. And so you can kind of see on the front, this is the card that you guys can probably look at. And then on the back, like you mentioned, it kind of creates a portrait. So here's Thor right here. Here's
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then it goes into Daredevil, some other characters and things like that. And
Yeah.
you mentioned in particular, I think it's card number 6 and
Yeah.
card number 34,
Yeah.
which are effectively, here's your first Spider-Man on the front of the card. And
Yeah.
then card number 6, he's technically on the back right here, the Steve Ditko art. So these are sort of two of the key cards that people like to collect. Obviously, Spider-Man is going to be the most popular.
Absolutely. And yeah, and it's, I won't say that the community is divided. People just have fun with this conversation. Because when we talk about this being the rookie set for these cards and this being Spidey's rookie card, so on and so forth, the entire set is manufactured and distributed at the same time. But people
Right.
have put this thing on it, which is the lowest numerical number in the set. And 34 happens to be the first time that Spidey appears on the front of a card. But card number 6 happens to be the first time his full face appears on a card, but it happens to be the back of the card. And this
Right.
is this is iconic image. This Ditko image was used all through the 60s and the 70s
Yeah.
on all kinds of promotional items.
And this, sorry to cut you off. This
No,
particular card is the one that I noticed selling for, I think it was the $3,000 price tag right here. So this
that is
PSA 9.
the only time, PSA 9, that's the only time I can recall a public sale of this card even coming to market. If I had to guess, this is probably a card that has, we'll check in a second, but it probably has 1 or 2 10s, probably has 8 or 9 9s, and this is one of them. But let's for fun, let's check it out. And just really quickly referencing the numbers, you have like almost 6,000 graded cards. There's only 200 10s out of 6,000 graded of this set.
Yeah. So it looks like there's 2 10s for 34
Okay.
and then 7 9s. That's
There
it.
you go. And now, how many of those 7 9s are owned by one individual? How many of those 7 9s are going to come to market? Is 3K going to be duplicated? I think it can be duplicated. I actually can. I actually think it can.
Very, very interesting stuff. I mean, anytime there's movement in the Marvel trading card market, I always get a little excited. I know that you are,
I love it.
an expert in this space, so I had to bring you on the channel to give your input. We'll have to just pay attention and see what happens from here. Last time, again, we had the Marvel 90MU stuff blow up. I feel like this might be a little bit different with the Donruss stuff. It might stick around a little longer, or even in comparison to the precious metal gems. But who knows?
No, Mickey, and I appreciate you having me on. And before I go, you're so right. Anything can happen. I don't think people should just jump in willy-nilly. You spend $2,000 on a card and then 5 more pop up, you're gonna not feel great, right? So like, know that there's risk here, but for the people that like this sort of thing, and they have, what is it, a threshold, not a threshold for risk, whatever the word is, it's just exciting for them. I think it's just the beginning of the fireworks. But Mickey, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And this is exciting stuff. I'm really happy that we're talking about it.
Thank you once again to the 99 Newsstand for coming on the channel and breaking it all down for us. Go give him a follow on his IG. And there you have it, guys. 1966 Donruss Marvel trading cards getting hot out there in the market once again. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys think this is a real thing? Are you somebody out there that actually used to collect these cards? Are you somebody out there that has a raw set, sitting in your basement? Are these things rare? Are they massively printed? No one actually knows. And that's kind of the fun part of it all. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. Consider supporting Sanity. I would definitely appreciate it. And I'll see you 4 years from now in the next Marvel card video.